What's a really awkward situation that everyone can relate with? When you start to tell a story in a group, but in middle of sentence realize that no one is actually listening, and ever so slowly you get quiet and hope no one took notice. When you've had multiple interactions with someone, but you can't remember their name, but it's gone too far to admit you've forgotten it, so you just have to call them love or mate forever. Start being more loving to them, eventually getting into relationship. As this moves further, propose and they'll say yes, and then when you're getting married, wait till the pastor turns and says, "And will you person's name marry your name?" Standing there while two people talk about something you don't know about. Even worse when you're wanting to leave the conversation, but feel like you need to have an excuse to leave. When you try to contribute to a conversation and someone cuts you off multiple times, and you patiently wait for your turn to speak, even though it already was, but by the time the air is clear, the subject has already changed, and what you were going to say is now irrelevant. When you're having a conversation with someone, and you don't hear what they say, so you ask them to repeat and they do, but you still don't hear it, and ask them to repeat again and they do, and you still don't know what they said. Do you ask them to repeat again, and maybe still not hear it? Pretend you heard it, and nod your head and hope it's an appropriate response? Stab yourself in the eye with a pen to create a diversion, and change the subject. When you're walking past coworker, and you've already said hello earlier, everyone's making that weird flat smile. That walk down a long hallway toward each other where you've clearly seen the other person, but they are too far away to say something, so you do the awkward look around until you get close enough to say hey and keep walking. When you're finishing up at the checkout and the cashier puts the notes on top of the receipt and then coins on top of that, then the next person steps up and you're fumbling, trying to disassemble the stack in your hand, gather your shopping, say thanks and move away at the same time. In the UK it's extra sucky because you bag your groceries yourself. Being at a friend's house as a kid and the friend's mother starts yelling at your friend. Being at a friend's house as a kid and the friend's father walks in only wearing underwear. That awkward moment where you and somebody else try to let each other speak, but you both try speak at the same time and just keep failing. That would be a Skype/Teams moment. It's happened to us countless times, especially since we're all now working from home. Sorry, go ahead. When you think someone waves at you, so you wave back, but they were waving at someone behind you. Not long ago at church we were asked to turn and greet people. I turned around, and the guy said hi to me, and stuck his hand out to shake. I went for it, and realized he was talking to the woman beside me. She and I both ended up with a hand in his hand at the same time trying to shake it. They both looked at me, and I quickly turned around, and pretended it didn't happen, which made it more awkward. And then rest of the service I couldn't stop laughing about it. This is standard for me. You ever clogged a toilet in somewhere that wasn't your house? When you walk out of the store empty-handed, feeling like you've just stole something. It's worse if you make eye contact with the cashier. Or worse, the security guy. And you went in the store with a bag from another one. You know it, and I know it. You should go to jail. When you reply to a stranger who says hello, but then realize they were on the phone and not speaking to you. Happened to me just yesterday, and I didn't get any sleep last night as I couldn't stop reliving the moment. AirPods have made this one so much more common. It's really annoying, especially if you work in retail. When you're saying goodbye to someone, and then you both end up walking in the same direction. Or when you turn and walk into a wall with people watching. Edit, my first awards ever. So glad my forms of awkwardness resonate with others. Also when you realize you've forgotten something and need to turn around, but you don't want to just turn around abruptly because that would make you look insane. So you do a little performance where you get your phone out, pretend to check a message, sort of mime aha, and then turn around. Or cross the street and then turn around to throw any observers off the scent. Ever drag your shoe across a tile floor and have it make a loud, wet, fart sound so everyone in the room looks at you? Then you insist it was your shoe and try to make the sound again, but nothing happens? Yeah, that and leather couches. When you're walking and almost trip for no reason and look back at the invisible stick that you tripped on, and then you do a quick check of the surroundings to see if anyone saw. The fake smile on your face when you receive a terrible gift. Wanted the Smash Mouth CD with All Star on it when I was a kid. My aunt wound up getting me the Lent CD with Steal My Sunshine on it. Apparently I hadn't heard the song yet back then, even though it was all over the radio. My disappointment was immeasurable and my day was ruined. I faked a half smile. Decades later I love Steal My Sunshine and I should have been happy. Someone showing everyone in the group something on their phone and waiting until it is your turn. Even worse if it never makes it to you and you have to pretend you're not secretly dying to know what it is. When you're walking behind someone that has a slightly slower pace than you, so you start to pass them, but then have that awkward moment when you're walking next to them before you cut in front of them. Worse is when it's also a narrow corridor and you can see people coming towards you from ahead and you trying to do math to figure out if you'll be able to overtake the slow walker without running into those people like a car. When you're on a public bathroom and someone tries to open the door even though it's locked. The worst is when you say it's occupied and then they try opening it even harder. Or when they gaze at you through the 1 centimeter gap between the door and partition. When you're next in line at the grocery store with your mom and she leaves you to just get one more thing and the anxiety and awkwardness builds because you're up and she's nowhere to be found. Bro, the supermarket is one of 2 places I have ever gotten lost. It's scary for children out there. Someone trying to initiate a handshake after you've just washed your hands. It's either a few awkward seconds of quickly drying your hands on your jeans or shaking their hand anyway and seeing the discomfort in their eyes. Saying hello or how are you to somebody and getting 100% ignored. Worse when someone else you know is there too and notices you getting ignored. Having your stomach rumble in the middle of a quiet class/meeting. Edit, both in college and at store meetings, my go-to cover-up strategy was to furiously flip through pages of notes to try and drown it out. Being called on to answer a question you really have no idea how to answer. I used to just say I don't know FML. I had a teacher once who wouldn't let us say I don't know to a question, only leave me alone. Weirdly empowering. I like this energy. When you swallow water wrong and it turns to a coughing fit in 2020. Dude, yesterday in the grocery store I accidentally swallowed my own spit wrong. Just so random, out of nowhere choking, and then of course coughing. Like a RSHT ton of coughing. My boyfriend was freaking out on me that everyone was gonna be mad at us/make us leave. Nothing happened, but I've never felt like such a criminal before. I made sure to say I just choked on my own spit really loud, which also didn't make me feel great. Go to wash your hands and the water comes out at 1,000 miles an hour, splashing your crotch. You are of course at work, and then you're just standing in the store waiting for it to dry and patting it with TP, but it's taking forever and someone is pooping next to you. Walking through a doorway only to catch your clothes on the handle and have it slingshot you backwards. Happens only when you're angry. When you go for a hug, but the other person goes for a handshake, so you start with a handshake, but do a weird hug at the same time with your hands in each other's crotches. I just skip all that and go right for the crotch. Stalking someone on social media and accidentally liking a comment from months/years ago. Simple, just say your dick hit the screen by accident. And you do it at 3 AM. Coming out of a public toilet after laying a beast and there is someone waiting to go in the cubicle. Worse when you've blocked it up. When someone keeps calling you by a wrong name. You let it slide to begin with, thinking they have just made a mistake, but then it carries on for such a long time that you can never correct them. I called a guy John for months until finally we were interacting, and he looks at me like, why do you call me John? My name is Bill. Whoops. It's funny because my usual go-to if I don't know someone's name is Bill. When you're out and someone approaches you with an "oh hi" insert name, nice to see you again, and you have no idea who that person is. When you are at a friend's house and their parents are yelling at them, sometimes beating them. When you're at a friend's birthday party and you crack a joke that makes one of the kids laugh so hard they puke cake on the table, and now your friend's mother is mad at you because supposedly this is your fault. I have a pretty embarrassing story about this. Once when I was 13 or 14, I was in another state for the weekend. I was staying at a hotel with my family. On the first night there, I approach the bathroom, praying it won't clog. I do the deed, and then flush. It's clogged. My dad has to go downstairs to the front desk and ask for the plunger, and then he brings it back to the room. I use the plunger for a while, but nothing is working. My dad takes over the plunging, and after about 10 or 15 minutes, it is still clogged. A maintenance worker comes up to our room to solve the problem. After about 10 minutes of him working on the toilet, he tells us that it is a lost cause and to just move to a whole new room. One of the most embarrassing moments of my life. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. New videos every day. Check out our playlist.